This is American Dumpster Fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to American Dumpster Fire. This is Loki.
And this is Tier.
And some of y'all nuts. So we got these armed idiots storming state capitals. Let's just point out that if they were Native American or black, they'd be dead.
Oh, for sure. My favorite thing about this, these people who are like getting in the cops' faces and like screaming at them. And have you seen all this stuff?
Yeah, I saw one that had the thin blue line shirt on on them too. It's just like, oh yeah, you support cops, but man,
Right?
you're ready to.
Right? Can we admit now that Blue Lives Matter was about nothing but racism?
Yeah.
Can we?
Yeah.
Like
I think we have to.
Because like literally these people are carrying guns, getting in cops' faces, screaming at them in their face without masks on, and threatening them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that at this point we could admit that Blue Lives Matter was nothing but racism at play. It's okay for you to shoot brown people.
Right.
That's what that was.
Yeah. And they're all for any cause that lets that happen. But man, tell them they have to wear a mask to Walmart and they lose their shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, right. And their whole reasoning behind the Blue Lives Matter was what? Well, just comply. Do what the police tell you to, and you won't get shot.
But
just
those
comply.
same people go and just lynch a guy with no. In that one in Georgia, what was that guy's name? Did you hear about that?
Was this recent?
That was back in February. It happened. The guy was jogging, and these two white guys hunted him down. They were in a truck, and they hopped out, chased him down, and shot him.
Oh my God.
And
I hate this world.
their claim was that, well, first off, they saw him jogging through a construction complex, and they thought he was stealing or snooping. And then the one guy had stuff stolen from his house earlier. So they just, it was him. Now, I'm not sure it's actually true that anything was stolen from the guy's house. It may or may not be, but regardless, we have laws in this country, and this stuff is handled a certain way. You don't just hunt down the first brown person that you see and kill them.
Oh my God.
But, they have these, and then shortly after, another 17-year-old kid in Florida was killed, citing the Stand Your Ground law, which is basically just a right to kill people. So, unless they're white. If you do this to a white person, Stand Your Ground is used against a white person, you will go to jail. But if it's used against a brown person, they usually let you go.
Was there not a black woman who cited the Stand Your Ground rule? Somebody came after her and she shot them and she still went to jail?
There was a black woman who cited the
She didn't even shoot anybody.
No, yeah, she
fired into the air.
Yes, and got 20 years or something like that for shooting into the air.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's just a law that was a free-for-all so that they could be racist.
Right, because Florida is run by racists.
Right.
Yeah. So that needs to end.
Obviously.
But obviously we're showing that this is all about racism because when white people gather on Capitol buildings armed to the teeth,
refusing to comply,
we do nothing.
Right. And here's the fun part. See, when people of color are, say, I don't know, pulled over for a random traffic stop or using a cell phone in their relative's backyard or any of these things, they're literally not harming anybody. So when they're shot by a cop for minding their own business, obviously it's a fucking problem. However, where was I going with this? When you are refusing to obey stay-at-home orders as a white person, you're putting everybody around you at risk. You are literally affecting other people's lives, unlike the man who was simply standing in a backyard with a cell phone.
Right. I mean, but it is a mentality, right? That they don't see that anything they do affects anybody else, right? They don't. In fact, nobody exists but them in their puny little heads,
exactly.
Right? So, in their minds, that if I don't get COVID-19, nobody else has COVID-19, because they can't see past their own nose.
Right, and that's the whole concept with everything is well, world hunger doesn't exist because I ate. Who was it? Jon Stewart who did there? John Oliver? One of them.
Right.
Somebody. Stephen Colbert? It
Yes.
might have been Stephen Colbert.
We are literally doing battle with dimwits. And
that's the thing, is these people don't understand that things exist outside of themselves.
And I argue substance abusers. I think because I've never, and this is maybe playing by their own rules, in that because I have never met one that wasn't a substance abuser, I'm going to say they're all probably substance abusers.
know that I agree. I feel that they're horribly uneducated, but I think it's by choice.
I agree with that too. But and once again, there's this whole mentality that everything is based off of a standard by which they themselves are judged, I guess, or you know what have you, because they get away with things everybody else gets away with, because they're a terrible person, everybody's a terrible person, right? Because they're always talking about how immigrants are all very bad hombres when they themselves are the very bad hombre. You know what I'm saying? That people go around screwing people because they themselves go around screwing people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the world is actually the way they see things. It is that they are the way they see
That they're
things.
terrible people, and therefore they see that in everybody else.
Therefore they believe everybody else is a terrible person. And then they excuse being a terrible person because they believe everybody else to be a terrible person. You know what I'm saying? But then Jesus will forgive everything.
Yeah, except that if Jesus actually walked his ass through this country right now, they'd throw him out as a communist.
And not to mention that rule doesn't apply to everybody else.
And a brown person.
Right. So Jesus will forgive you if you turn to Jesus, unless you are something that I don't like, unless you're gay, unless you're black.
Right,
unless you're,
exactly.
You know, a socialist or something like that. You know, God forbid you want to give health care to other people, you're going to hell. They're
the most, hypocritical, hilariously hypocritical people you will ever come across, and it's just baffling to me that they don't see the flaws in their logic, beyond baffling.
I'm not even sure they don't. I just think that they don't care. They don't care that they're wrong.
They don't care that they're being lied to. They prefer their ignorance. They choose ignorance.
Oh, yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
They choose ignorance, and it's because this country has bred that.
But
we have bred that mentality for decades.
It's not just that. Look, the con artistry of evangelical Christianity is that I tell you that everything you are, as awful as you are, is okay, and you keep giving me money. You know what I'm saying? That's how faith works. And
well, it's not how the whole faith works, but
evangelical
it's a lot of it,
Christianity. I'm pointing out specific because that it's not like other Christianity.
Right.
You know, it's a cult.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And
I would venture to say that every Trump supporter is in a cult.
Well,
it's a cult.
Just being a Trump supporter puts you in a cult.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
You're literally being told to ignore facts and truth. You're in a cult. You follow blindly, regardless of reality.
Right. Don't believe your eyes. Believe what I tell you.
Right.
You know, and yeah, that's exactly how Trumpism works.
He's literally running the party of 1984.
Right.
You know? So, so no, they're absolutely a cult.
And I'm completely prepared for come the election time when they try to suspend the election for any number of reasons. They're looking for any excuse to suspend it. And for them to start violating our Constitution just to remain in power.
Any other presidency, I would say no way. This one, I would never put it past
if
them.
they don't stay in power, they are going to jail.
Quite possibly.
No, everybody is waiting until he is out of power to put him away. And Biden already said that
he won't.
He will not pardon Trump.
Right.
So and good.
Yes, I agree.
But it shouldn't stop there. Okay, and here's where our self-awareness has to be factored in, is that it shouldn't stop at Trump.
It should be every fucking one of them who's gone along with this.
Not just
compliance is
liberal, conservative. It doesn't matter. When you break the law, you pay for your crimes.
That's never the way that America has worked.
We should never be pardoning the previous administration for their crimes.
We shouldn't be. But the bottom line is that if you have money, your laws don't apply to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it hasn't. They haven't for, I don't know, since the 1970s.
Well, and what do you think the first thing that you say? I'm a billionaire, okay, and I commit some kind of crime. And they're like, oh, well, you should pay for your crimes. And billionaires, okay.
Yeah.
Get your
fork over some cash and you're done.
Get your computer service elsewhere. Get your lobbyist donations elsewhere.
Right.
You know, are you really going to hold me accountable for what I do?
But even crimes that they can't get out of, it's literally they hand over pocket change to them.
I mean, because in our country, affluenza is an excuse for committing a crime, but poverty isn't.
But I think that we almost view the poor as criminals by default.
Right.
The way that capitalism forces the class system into place.
Right. Because why don't you get to work?
Because capitalism will only work as long as this class system that oppresses the poor and the lower middle class, it only works as long as we're doing that.
And I hate to tell you, but this is the new way slavery works. I mean, if you do not have enough to thrive off of, then you're a slave.
I hate to use that term because I don't want to detract from what slavery actually was. So I won't use that word. But yes, this is the way that you're owned. This is the way that you.
Is it different?
Well, yes, it's different.
No.
But
okay.
But I get your point, and your basic concept is correct. This is the way that you're owned.
You're not given enough to live off of. You are
right, but you're given.
You're
something.
abused by the system and the police and the authorities. What's the difference really, other than you get to choose who your master is? What's the difference?
There's a big difference.
How much? Because I can almost guarantee. I mean, I've had this discussion before, and you can almost equate everything. Other than we're not branding you just yet.
You're not regularly raped by your boss in most cases.
Are you not? There are cases.
Well, I'm sure there are cases.
Maybe it's a little better, you know?
Yes, I think it's at least a little
But
better.
when you go to jail...
But my point is that slavery was this huge offense that our country is literally founded on.
Oh, it's disgusting.
That so many pieces you don't even realize are founded on slavery, like the Electoral College, completely founded on slavery.
Sure. So is the prison, the for-profit prison system is all about slavery.
Oh, I guarantee that's true.
Oh, we can't have normal slaves. We'll make the for-profit prison system, which now makes slaves again.
So yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of things that are completely founded on slavery. There's a lot of things that will always be racist because of that. For example, the prison system, the completely insanely disproportionate number of people of color in the prison system, and don't fucking tell me that's because they commit more crimes because you're full of shit and you know it. That is just blatant racism.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things, but I won't call it slavery because of that, because you don't want to detract from actual slavery.
Okay,
but
maybe I don't want to detract from actual slavery, but to give you a visual of what's happening, you kind of have to equate it to slavery.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point. I'll say that. But the bottom line is you're still fucking owned. You can't leave your job without, making sure you have a new job lined up.
And even then, you're going to lose your health care for 90 days or whatever.
Your health care is literally dependent on your employer. We're in a right-to-work state, so you could be fired at any time for any reason, for no reason.
Right.
Literally, they can take away your sick time. They can, my job has removed our time off.
Right.
While we still have sick time and stuff, but I can't just request days off right now because we're on a reduced staff due to the whole pandemic and everything, and that kind of is what it is. That's a minor reality for how many people right now who are struggling to make ends meet,
right,
who are lucky to still have a job. I mean, these people are probably working insane hours, putting themselves at risk. I mean, at least I'm not even exposed to the public, whereas, grocery workers and store clerks and restaurant workers, fast food people, they're still being exposed constantly. I know that a lot of people had their hazard pay revoked already. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of situations where you don't have a choice.
Right.
Your choices are gone. And so, yes, in that
but
sense,
that's
I understand what you're saying.
When money is freedom, 1% are free?
Exactly.
And that's where we live.
Right. Those are the only people who have a say in their government and who have any kind of
real say anyways.
Actual representation. You have to be a billionaire.
System and and the Electoral College. Let's face facts. The only way that that voting is fair is the ranked choice system.
Yeah.
And we're just starting to get that in certain states. I'd love to push for it in Ohio. I'm not quite sure how, but I'd love to push for it here.
Run for office.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the plan. I need to finish my school stuff.
Yeah. So speaking of the party that refuses to accept reality, did you hear about Eric Trump and deciding that the Democrats are milking COVID-19 to deprive Trump of his rallies?
Do they have that power? I mean, even if he was right, okay, which he's not, but
he's delusional.
If he were right, your dad's the president, Republicans run the Senate. Democrats hold only 1/3 of the equation. In fact, conservatives hold most of the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. Conservatives have a vast majority here. How are Democrats doing anything?
Potentially, the only way that what he's saying is correct is that the governors have put a ban on people gathering.
Even then,
large gatherings.
Aren't most of the governors Republican?
That's what I was going to say. Most states are red states. This is a red state. So obviously our governor doesn't agree with him in the first place. However, we are starting to reopen. And you want to know what I'm saying? Go ahead and gather, Trump supporters. Have at it.
Oh, man, I wish the rallies were the first thing to open up.
But that said, like, this man literally said that, once the election is over, watch COVID-19 miraculously disappear or something to that extent.
I think that...
Are you serious?
I
You really think that this is a worldwide hoax
Right.
so that your dad can't freaking campaign?
But
you think that the entire world is in on this Democratic agenda and that literally, hundreds of thousands of people up and died just to be in on this hoax?
But, I mean, okay, they're Beavis and Butthead, right? I mean... Eric and Don Jr. are Beavis and Butthead. They're a couple of morons who have zero qualifications. I don't even know why anybody gives a fuck what they say. They're nobodies, and it's just like, what do you? They only have jobs because Daddy gave them a job.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else would have ever hired these fuckwits. Like, who cares?
I can't believe anybody ever gave Trump a job.
But I'm
well, they probably
nobody
didn't.
did.
Yeah,
though.
they
That's the
didn't.
thing. So he took Daddy's $413 million and he started a
whittled it
company,
down.
which he has lost almost all of it, until he could start conning people into giving him money.
Mm-hmm.
He even conned his way into the spotlight, okay, by pretending to be somebody else, talking himself up to a magazine.
I'm convinced that half the Twitter accounts that are constantly praising him are the same thing.
I'm
They're
sure.
just Trump's Twitter accounts who are constantly praising him.
No, some of these things look like fake people.
Oh my
something like
God.
that. But
There's no way.
But anyways, I am all for the Trump rally. I think it is democratizing death. We voted to die. We chose to go to this Trump rally, caught the coronavirus, and now we're dead. It was no more democratic way to do this.
And I love that, Eric Trump is saying this stuff. Meanwhile, the White House has been, enacting all these rules. You have to wear masks and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And, Trump himself is putting these rules into place. You can't, unless you're sitting at your
taking
desk.
a test every single day.
Yeah, you have to, oh, my God, how many tests are being wasted at the White House?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's probably too stupid to take them properly anyways. It's probably a cheek swab and he's peeing on it or something like that because he's an idiot. Or he likes golden showers. Whichever. Pick your flavor.
Right.
But, it's just ridiculous. And he's pandering to an audience of morons. And how do you even fix this? You can't.
I know. You can't
fix
that.
these people.
No, because they don't want to be fixed.
Like,
They're
you could-
blissfully ignorant.
You could show them.
But it's only blissful for the ignorant.
Yeah, I
the
know.
rest of us have to deal with them.
But I mean, you could take them in person and show them the physical truth face to face, and they would still deny it. That's who they are.
Oh God, they probably have people dying all around them, and they're still going
Yeah,
to
it's not
protest.
real. Oh no, they died of diabetes, not the
Right.
COVID.
Oh, it was probably just the flu. Same
Right.
amount of people died of the flu. Sure, buddy.
Morons.
They are. They're just believing anything that they hear. So, how many people tuned into that Obama speech?
I didn't even see it. I was doing something else, but I heard
we
it was
watched.
fantastic.
Yeah. I have a senior graduating this year, so we tuned in and we watched, and most of it was a bunch of, I don't know, celebrities, I guess, that I don't really know. But the Obama speech was fantastic, and he made a point of pointing out that doing things for only yourself and picking the easy way out and everything was a child's way of thinking, and that sometimes even people with big titles and fancy, jobs and everything act that way. But that's why things are so messed up. It was
true.
kind of fucking epic.
Trump and all of his supporters, including the ones in
Their
my own
children.
family,
Yes.
think like children. Yeah. I mean, it's like you've never heard of another person, have you? Like, what? How
Yeah,
have you
and
made
that's
it
the
this far in
thing.
life?
Is like they're so self-involved, and emotional intelligence in this country is a huge problem because it doesn't exist.
It's crazy.
And yeah, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how completely not self-aware these people are.
Yeah. It's
These are developmental things you would expect out of a child.
right. Yeah. I don't get it.
It's amazing.
I didn't know you could get this far in life like that.
Yes, how have you lived this
Right.
long?
Yeah. How have you gotten this far without somebody knocking your lights out?
Yeah. Well, they probably have. So
Maybe that's why they're here. A little bit of brain damaging got them here, maybe. Well,
Maybe.
okay, maybe that's it. They might be drug addicts. They might have been hit too hard in the head. Could be any number of things. Maybe I'll add a few more things that could have caused them to be so terrible. So, anything else?
no, I don't think I have anything else right now.
All right, guys, stay safe. Wear your masks. Wash your hands. Stay away from Trump supporters. We'll see you next time.
Bye.